Now, although we can get proportions spot on in much less time and with much less effort, using drawing aids like grids or tracing, projectors, including other shortcuts and tricks you can find in digital art, all shortcuts come with a price. And relying too much on these shortcuts, which I see a lot of students and beginners do, and not challenging ourselves enough to trust the process of working out proportions by eye, can cause us to miss out on learning critical skills that are so important to drawing. And I'll share some reasons why. A quick thank you to those of you who have supported my books, Pen, Ink, Drawing, A Simple Guide, and the complimentary Pen and Ink Drawing Workbook. Thanks so much. And a reminder, my pen and ink shading course is now available. Link in the description. Thank you. When you draw and practice working out proportions using eye measurements without relying on grids, tracing, and so on, you're training your mind and eyes to be able to identify and internalize important relationships about your subject. And ultimately, this just helps to sharpen your observation skills. This is a critical part of learning how to see as an artist. So when you look at subjects, you see and think in relation to, what's the position, size, direction, shape, and so on of this in relation to that. Relationships will just pop out to you. So in the case of, say, portrait drawing, right, you develop an almost natural sense of how, for instance, the eyes relate to each other, the other features, and the head as a whole. You pick up little things like if the eyes are more apart or closer, or more full or more narrow, more prominent or receding than usual. The ears align with this. The nose has a similar size to that, and so on. You just develop this kind of a heightened sense of awareness for relationships. Another really cool benefit of practicing to work out proportions with eye measurements is that you'll find that you eventually will memorize general proportions in the process. You develop a feel for the overall proportions of the subject, which enables you to develop a kind of a mental visual model. And this model becomes a reference for you to create from your imagination and even recognize and utilize deviations in your art. So it's easy to pick up if something is off or not, or what gives the subject its unique appearance. When you rely too much on tracing or grids and so on, you find yourself even being a bit dependent on them, or your mind becoming more passive. And then it's like you're connecting dots because everything is already laid out for you. When you work out proportions by eye, it's like you create the dots yourself. And another critical aspect of overusing or becoming dependent on these tools is that it feeds into the mindset that everything must be perfect, which can foster or accentuate a fear of failure in a sense. Professional artists will tell you that going through the process of working out proportions by eye comes with getting things a bit off sometimes, and that's okay. It's just a natural part of the bittersweet lessons of learning. And the process is priceless because you develop a deeper understanding of how you systematically construct a drawing, from thinking about the whole subject, blocking in shapes and the composition, to subtle aspects like positive and negative shapes, contours and interior forms, alignments and finding rhythms. These are some of the more nuanced aspects of drawing, the drawing process that you develop a heightened sense of awareness for. Now, don't get me wrong. Using shortcuts for getting proportions right are useful at times, okay? They really help immensely to save time and effort, especially, if you have commissions, deadlines, projects, and so on. Plus, you may have already have the skills anyway. This is particularly for beginners and students who may tend to rely too much on this and not realize that it's important to go through the process, all right? The point is to not let shortcuts replace learning the process of working out your proportions by eye, because they're important to acquiring certain understandings and skills that is hard to learn otherwise. Now, I know working out proportions can be time consuming and not the most enjoyable aspect of drawing. And it's very tempting to just take the easy route and use a grid or trace or something else. But do your best to make it a regular part of your process. and you'll see the difference in how you learn to see and analyze subjects you draw. Thanks everyone for watching, and remember to give this video a like and share it with who you think would enjoy it or find it useful in some way. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.